So I wanted to find out from yourselves, is there any piece of advice that you'd give a design graduate that's looking for work right now?
Well, I think it's going to be difficult for everybody in every profession. Like when you come out of university, you're literally one of many. Like there's no. So the thing is, you have to really differentiate because nobody's got any experience. Everybody's got zero. So I would try to observe: is there any user testing recruitment panels around you? Volunteer, earn some money. Look how they're doing it. Look if there's differences between how they're doing it or why they're doing it. So this kind of thing, because you'll probably see some adaptations now about how studies are done or how feedback's given. So at least you're on the cusp of that change. So you know what to expect. You've partook in it. And the other thing is probably everybody here has got woeful stories of building a portfolio. UX is really difficult because most of it's process, most of it's not shareable because it's kind of proprietary work. So try to at least look at other people's portfolios, how they've done it. You don't need to go crazy and have 10 examples. Really 2 or 3 nice use cases really put you ahead of anybody else. When it comes to hiring people, there are certain things that you kind of look for or you plan to look for, and then but something will pop out. Like stay away from the kind of infographics of 10 stars, my Photoshop, nobody gives a shit. Send them a prototype. Send your CV as a prototype, as a clickable thing. Just do something to stand out, and that's the best you can do, really.
Agree, and I think you should do your work with a passion. Like I also started a long time ago. I'm super old, and but yeah, I learned computer technology and electronics, and then instantly I liked the internet, but it was not at school yet. But I really liked it, and then you learn, yourself. You're autodidact, and I think everybody can do that. It's like, and I also am a sculptor. I went to a master to learn sculpting, basically. I think that should also happen more in business life. I think that you just you work for free basically, but then you learn. You're like an apprentice. I would do that if I would come out of school. I would go to someone I really admire. I would make, like what you said, a cool portfolio, make it clickable, get in somehow, show that I really want it. I think that would be a good way to do it.
And wear some crazy white glasses.
I get no one forgets.
One of them on an interview, they're going to remember you, and they're going to go, remember that guy.
That's true. Yeah. I was working also for a company. I traveled a lot, and then they had offices everywhere. So yeah, I don't know, 6,000 people work there all over globally, but no one forgot me. So it totally works. It's a very good UX thing. This.
Yeah, ginger ponytail helps as well.
Also, yeah, you see. You have to stand out. Yeah.
DJ or Brandon?
So my advice for people who are just getting started would be just don't do it. Become a crab fisherman in the Bering Sea and hope or pray that you don't get clipped by that giant cage in the back of the head. And then you'll probably have a better life at the moment than becoming a UX designer. But in all fairness, I completely agree with Dan and Koen and Yoshinori. One thing I would like to add was probably don't get too hung up on, let's say, the UI part of things. It's good that you have all these skills, but it's more important to have a more of a holistic approach, and also take into account if you're going to think a little bit more commercially, perhaps, and be not only the voice of the customer, but also to match it up with business needs, and to try to make sure that whatever you're doing or whatever project you're trying to build or working on or service, that it's feasible, right? And if possible, scalable. So don't just focus too much on the end user. Just find the right balance. And if you can, try to be a little bit more business savvy, because that's what we're going to need, I think, in the future. So my guess would be try to look more also in the towards service design, than and not just the UI, the shiny UI part with the rounded corners of your buttons and so on. I think that's my advice. Or become a crab fisherman.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think also it's important to fail. I would recommend young people fail. Just do it. Start a business, start something, and crash. You know, don't wait for this perfect thing that you want in your head. Like, yeah, be flexible. Keep moving.
And also, maybe try and be aware of what your optimal setup is. Like, for me, I wouldn't like to go to a UX agency now with lots of UX peers, because I'd probably just argue with them most of the day before doing any work. I find being in a kind of scrum team.
I sort of disagree there, Dan. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, it depends. But I've found my kind of comfort spot. Like, as a freelancer, you're kind of fighting too many battles, and I'm not a great. I'm not great at selling myself. I never had a constant workload. It was boom, boom, boom. So that wasn't for me. I've tried working in big agencies with lots of UXs, and not my thing either. But I came into a kind of large company as the only designer UXer, and kind of built a team of 7 or 8 over the years. And I find that quite comfortable. I learn better by teaching, sort of mentoring. And it's great when I can be taught something back as well. So I think finding where, if you compliment somebody, and if you know Agile, Scrum, and you know there is going to be a UI designer, so you don't have to worry about that. Otherwise, you will get double workload. Scale that back a bit. So just try and find where your place in the team is. Are you a kind of person that just likes to do user research and churn out stuff and get results? Are you good at talking? Focus on that. Not everybody's a UX designer. There's a whole different. There's lots of different roles you can have there. And customer experience, is definitely something that I think will real boost soon. Because that just takes UX. Again, you did the journeys on that game. So it's not just experience inside the product or using it, it's how you got there, why you got there, will you recommend it? If it breaks, how fast does it get fixed? Again, it's going back to UX. People just give examples of a good UX. They say Apple products, not so much anymore. It's really like, when I give an example, I usually use something like Shazam. It's a single purpose, small app. It does exactly what it says when you want it. That's it. And then it'll upsell it. but that's fine. But trying to have try and describe UX of this thing, no, it's too much.
Brandon?
My best advice, I think it's also finding your best skills and where your expertise lies, but that might also take some years. I'm from Denmark. I did my bachelor's in countryside, middle of nowhere in Denmark. I was going to move to Copenhagen for a master's at the IT University. But I think what really helped me was that I already had some experience. I taught myself that the OP programs already had some design experience, more on the visual side of things, making the UI pretty and the shiny parts and the rounded corners, like DJ was talking about. And that also has a place. It depends on, because I realized that what I was really good at was that side of things. And then I worked in a fashion company for 5 years, and then in the e-commerce, and I was really good at editorial, and they also bridged then the UX and the holistic part of things and down to all the photo shoots and how to then do the editorial and the campaigns online and across all media. So that's something that I then learned that that's my expertise. And yeah, just finding out, get some experience already on your portfolio, on your CV, and then already have something to show in your portfolio. I moved to Amsterdam to get more experience than that was already on my CV. I moved to Amsterdam to become an editor. I studied design and communication. So I moved to be an editor at this travel agency. It was not my thing at all. It sounded really good to progress more on that. But then after 1 month, I became a visual designer at the global marketing team instead. So, and then from there, I just grew and built on my portfolio, had some freelance project on the side, and then I worked at a Danish fashion company. So it's just about getting the experience, and also what I learned now from my years working in-house the last 6 years. Your network means a lot. And now I'm working, I think 5 out of my 8 clients right now are people that I worked with before. So that's something I always knew how important network is, but then even keeping in touch with people from university or from somewhere you worked before really will have a huge impact later on in life if you need their skills or to collaborate on a project together. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, man. I usually thought of that, but your network is really important.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to bounce off lame ass jokes and you don't have anybody to tell them because there's
Exactly.
buyers.
Especially a freelancer.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. But having a lot of friends that do the same or similar stuff to you, yeah, man, that's a good point. I agree.
Guys, thank you so much for taking your time out to answer some of our questions and giving your advice to grads out there. We are going